Xavier Jackson. He's a self-taught, self-pronounced musician who has been writing poetry since the age of 16 with a myriad of influences ranging from Gil Scott-Heron to William Burroughs, Nikki Giovanni, Last Poets, Watts Prophets, and Octavia Butler. Anthony's poetry covers a variety of topics from spirituality to politics, ancestry, love, romance, Afrofuturism, and much more. You may support him via Bandcamp at castruba.bandcamp.org. Castruba is spelled K-A-S-T-R-U-B-A. And simply search his name at SoundCloud to sample musical offerings, where you'll find a variety of poetic and musical offerings, most albums, name your price. Again, that's a fantastic bio, but that's really understated. Be ready to have your socks knocked off. This man is a very talented wordsmith. I'm very appreciative that he is featuring for me to showcase the kind of talent that we have here. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous. This is only my third time hosting, and I'm still getting used to it.
Let's go. You're doing great, bro.
Yeah. Please extend that warm welcome to Anthony-Xavier Jackson. Woo!
So the QR codes on the table, they're two-sided. One side takes you to my Bandcamp, where you'll find albums, which are basically compilations of my spoken word music. And the other side is a SoundCloud link where you'll find, that's basically like my diary. That's where I put songs that haven't been released or just stuff that I'm working on, and it's all kinds of stuff. And so if you want to support me, you can buy an album. Some albums are linked to some charities, this, that, and the other. If you go to Bandcamp, I would suggest you try the album Sorcery, which is one of my first albums. There's all sorts of stuff. I was just listening, I'm like, wow, I've created all this stuff. There's an album called Fiction, there's an album called Sorcery. The first album you see there is not there because it is like my latest or best. It's like a compilation of me learning how to use Ableton and various electronic implements, and so it's a lot of the bumps and hangnails of learning how to become a music producer. So I felt compelled at the start of the day to just start this with 3 words that are very important to me and very important to all of us, which are that I love you, right? And so I wanted to tell you a little story about how writing became a part of my life, right? So about the age of 14 or 15, I discovered that if I put together words that girls would want to have converse with me, and I figured if I could, put together words like that in a clever way, learn how to say very basic things in a very complicated way, that it would garner me favor. And the poetry was like a huge part of my first falling in love. I met this girl, she was knock-kneed, she looked like Molly Ringwald, and she was just the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. And she loved everything that I wrote. And so I would just write ferociously, write. Even after I got what I wanted, I was just writing. And it stuck. And so writing has always been a part of my heart. And the things I hope to share with you tonight, I hope that I can convey a little bit of that. So thank you all for coming. So this first poem is called Octavia Knew. It's like Toni Morrison said, I will learn to speak in my own voice, on my own terms, to the ears of my own, if choppy, even disastrous. I will learn how to speak my native tongue. Because the longer I tried to shape my mouth to the poetic stylings of those bread-addicted, dairy cow, teat-suckling, justifying slave, smuggling European men, the less my voice became apparent. The longer I tried to straighten my words like they forced us to straighten our hair, the longer I tried to fix my face to smile when I see brothers robbed of air, nodding out in their underwear on Figueroa and 6th Street with clouds of poison in the air. This week it's fentanyl, last week it was trank, next week it'll be candy-flavored, rainbow bright, brutally strong meth. The longer and longer they ask me to be gentle in my journalism, I'm reminded that it's strongly suggested that I forget. So I will learn. Sugar is sweet, salt is salt. I'll speak to my people, even when I don't get up, even when my words just kind of cuff. Even when the rain tells me, boy, stay at home. No one wants to hear you carry on. I will learn to ignore that critical high-pitched admonishment of my foster mothers whose mouths shaped the map of Southern survival into tent revivals to convince me art was the devil. I will ignore the shame that bellows in pillows rather than bounce on stages to the beat that the sun, moon, and stars put in our flow. I will learn eventually to let it all go. Let it all go. Those classic lines, they break. The classic lines, they break. They break the structured romance. I'll trade it in all for no-mo until my tongue becomes gumbo. Trade it in for angels breakdancing in the rotunda of the Capitol. I'll be just like Tony. Let me speak to you right there, in the back, a little louder, until you hear it all. So I had this very unique experience of, well, it's not unique. We all lose our parents, but my dad was a hugely special soul, and I got to spend 10 days with him while he was experiencing this transition. And my dad being my dad, he was just too proud to like go in front of me. He waited until which is just like that. But I had this touching experience while I was out there. So this is called the razor of your smile. Shaving you. Father, the furthest thing from my mind is you dying. For your skin is so soft, it's so warm and supple, suffused with life. Your vessel touts these soft, fine hairs. On your head as I turn you from side to side to reach those newts in the fold of your neck where the wily whiskers bask, defying my extra gentle strokes, my slightly trembling hands. You know, I've never shaved anyone but myself before. Is this what it means to let go? To be one day your eyes and your ears, to give you my hands. Steady now. Warm the water just right. Choose a new razor. Make sure to wipe away the excess. And I'm reminded of all the shaving commercials from the 70s where they just glom that shit on, right? A huge dollop of chemical-laden goo was the answer then. But now, I gently log your face with just the right amount as I feel you smile underneath, knowing, I will not cut you. I touch you. Stranger, I've never touched your face before as an adult. It's just not a thing. It's just not a thing we do. I ask if you want me to shave with or against the grain, and you look baffled and say, up, always up. Guess I've been shaving wrong my whole life. So I rinse away the white goo, I freshen up with the brisk warm water, pour the suds away, and I wish I could count all the hairs in that subtle stubble. I wish I didn't have to wash them away. I could put them in a locket, wear them like a shield. But by the time I conceive this fancy, they are gone, carried away on gravity tethers to their own special spot anonymous down in the Mississippi River. Have you ever had to shave your father? Shave him before you let him go. So, Dad, let's pack up into the car. Let's go to the casino one more time. I'll let my smile be your razor. Let the soothing waters flow. So I have the amazing good luck of being a certified drug counselor now, and the person you see standing before you, if I showed you pictures of myself 10 years ago, you'd be like, what the fuck, right? But I was able to make it out. do recovery. And this is something that came to me from working with the people that I get to work with. Some of you have heard this before. It's called Precipitated Withdrawal. Everything feels so good. Everything feels so good until I'm feeling nothing at all. I feel everything until I feel nothing at all. There's a can of Narcan at my nose. I'm spitting up the dose. I can't tell if I'm maybe a cartoon fading to that little white dot on an analog TV, or another person stuck in the Glide lunch line, waiting for a sandwich in a paper bag, beseeching me, have a nice day, keep coming back. Really? Really? I want everything to feel so good. I want all the blippity blop to stop. I want to feel nothing at all. Because I feel everything until I'm just lying on the floor. The tube's up my nose, so I come back craving the one thing all addicts crave. More. In precipitated withdrawal. Fentanyl has a ring to it. Fentanyl. I want it all. I want it until there's nothing at all. Yeah, man, everything feels so good to Jenny. But Jenny, she can't really tell anymore if she's kissing an old Doc Martin boot or cooing to her baby. You know that one that turned blue, along with her lips as she tried to break on through? To that other side, but found all those poets lied. All those poets died. Really? Jenny can't tell you what her biggest regret is. She's no longer even sure she actually exists. Fentanyl. Kind of jazzy, right? Because everything feels so good until you feel nothing at all. I feel everything make it stop by feeling so much I end up curled up in a ball outside this church window with a bag of pipes and needles, a box of Narcan, and the hope one day I can feel so good that I feel nothing at all. One day I'll find nothing more as my corpse hits the floor. I want to stop. Fentanyl. So who knows what imposter syndrome is? This is my little love song to imposter syndrome. So sometimes I'm wondering if something meaningful might drop from my thumbs on this phone. Maybe if I'm good enough, if I'm sad enough, if I'm outraged enough, if my belly rumbles just enough to digest this imposter syndrome. It's rough. Maybe I'm too fat, maybe I'm just too blind, maybe I'm toxically traumatized. Maybe I'm too old to be writing sentimental drones, maybe one day I'll be just enough to atone for this imposter syndrome. Look at all these beautiful souls, green-eyed girls who dance with wolves. Look at all the beautiful men who go to war with a sampler and a pen, and look at me standing there on the sideline with a hand-me-down lucidity, with a broken cure song in my head. When the wind cries, it cries, baby. To belie this imposter syndrome, sometimes alone, I'm sitting in that prison, counting the hairs on the head of a moth. I'm telling stories around the heat of the pruno. My tongue has been burnt by that brilliant blue flash of the hyperbolic, hyperventilating, hypersonic lie that personifies my need to be seen and my want to be heard at any cost. I'm writing love letters for Kaczynski. I'm convincing Manson's bastard son that he's the ward boss. I'm hoarding peanut butter to bribe that bulimic cop. I got strep soul, y'all. I got strep soul. I've got a spiritual cramp knot. I'm a subliminal criminal. It's just enough to make this imposter syndrome hint of fits and starts, but it's never enough to quite make it stop. So leave me somewhere safe, alone, smooth, as the perfect end of a poem. I'm going to do two empty chairs for the next piece. I've never done this piece in public. It's written just workshop it with you guys. All right. So, this is a piece called The Empty Chair. Right? And the first part of the poem is the substance, meth speaking to an addict. Okay? So meth says to the addict, "You think you're so smart. I love it. I love people so smart that they become complete savants when they meet me. Because too smart for your own good is my middle name. Right, genius? Right? I love it when I get to witness you do all these incredibly stupid things that you do in my name, for my sake, roaring down that road of freedom while bound at the hip to my dysfunction. I have seen you squat a perfectly good warehouse with running hot water and electricity, only to cash in all that copper for a bag full of me. Now you're wheezing in the fumes of a stolen generator. You held the repairman at knife point captive to fix to get running halfway decent. You put it in a little wooden cage and wonder why the guard dogs keep dying, while you're searching past the buckets of human waste for just another pound of extruded aluminum to sell because you needed me. Me. Meth, I'm your friend. I'm your friend, and what fun it was to watch you hang from a rooftop, held by your ankles to cut live wires from the city utility poles, melted socket wrenches and high voltage panels, wrecked whole city blocks, stood perilously atop I-beams cutting 30 separate wires hoping to not get electrocuted, gingerly tying each buzzing old strand with a dollar store electrical tape and inner tubes stolen from stolen bikes. I'm meth. I've devised plentitudes where success meant abandoning the golden rule. I watched you plenty fooled by my favorite fool, trauma. Dancing in a jingly costume as you inhaled your doom. Oh, how I love trauma. It seeps right into the bones, like the rain on a stormy night that soaks all the lighters, has you searching for fire, destroyed homes to loot the belongings of those who moved on. Some by inhalation, some by evacuation. But money is money, honey. Money is honey. I'm meth. I had you walking the freaking floors with me to rummage each pocket, collect each penny, chalk it up to the price of tragic criminal infamy. I love to watch you time after time squeeze into little doorways, hiding from the cops who ran with their guns drawn through buildings you torn asunder. I remember you stealing solar panels that night and being accosted by the building owner as you climbed out of the window, only to be forced to hide in a little narrow between the buildings and wait for the police to give up searching for you, returning the next day under my orders to climb out into that window one more time for fool's gold, copper. What is it that makes them act like animals, sell their bodies, their freedom, their very souls? My name is Meth. The people long to know that soft white underbelly, the tender minds. Sit, my boy, sit in this empty chair and tell the whole world they're listening. So this is what the addict says to Meth. You know, I just wanted to tell you, thank you. Thank you for the hopeless degradation you showed me capable of. That absolute horror you placed in my soft brown eyes. How you hardened my heart to the point feelings became a strange, unwelcome foreigner whose cloak made me shiver with anticipation. I'd have to one day stop. Thank you, trauma from early childhood, where a grown man told me he'd traffic me to men just like him in downtown San Diego for just enough money to buy a little more PCP. While he regaled me with stories of how he stalked my mother when she was drunk. Thank you, myth, for connecting drugs and sex and survival, because when it hurts so bad but feels so good, well, then there's the money. Wanted to become the best damn hustler in the world, yet I didn't even remember this part of your story until yesterday. And I wondered why it was so easy when I met you to sell myself for just a little bit. I wanted to show my adoration for your insidious genius, which crept right into my hurt and assured me it was okay to keep hiding, to keep pretending nothing ever hurt. The knife wounds, the scars, the broken bones were all just interesting coffee table conversations from the book of tragic photos you had me make my life become. So thank you, myth. There you were, saying, look at him there, smiling with no teeth like an inbred Appalachian chieftain hovering over a fresh batch of homemade misery disguised as moonshine. I thank you for walking in fear with me through all those dark buildings where extolled the price of my anger and the beautiful architecture where we schemed stealing stolen shit from other thieves, parading our headlights right in the middle of Market Street, paid outlets and crack while tossing 400-pound radiators down 10-story airwells, all just to see you again, Meth, to hold you in my hand, to smoke you. Thank you for that federal case eventually, because I knew you never want to leave me. I was just too smart. I was just too good looking. I was the sexiest homeless person in the world. It was all about me, really. That's what you told me. That's what you taught me. So I just wanted to thank you for abandoning me eventually. Thank you for leaving me. Thank you for reminding me I cannot hide, I cannot unfeel what is me, that I can forgive, that I am worthy of love, that I do not have to punish the child inside of me. Thank you, Neth, for destroying me. Thank you for every single one of those lies, because now I'm awake. And finally, an empty chair is all I see.
Yeah. And please share and let us know if you got anything coming up.
Well, so if you scan and go, if you want to support me as an artist, you want to buy an album, I suggest, there's plenty of, there's something for everyone on my Bandcamp. I don't have anything published, but I'll be working on that in days to come. Just wanted to share one more about my father, because I feel like every time I get up here, I should honor him or honor his legacy, because without him, there's no me. And so I started this project called 23 Songs. I didn't write 23 songs because it's really hard to conceive of writing 23 poems. But I had an idea that I would write them. But this is just 23 Psalms 9. When you're around someone who's passing, it's like you're with someone who's like in two separate worlds, And I knew what to expect from watching other people's testimony about watching their relatives transition, but I didn't quite know what to expect. And so this poem is a product of that. He explains time, not like the way my drumsticks bounce, but in a way that breaks like an ill-conceived hollandaise sauce. Just sort of floats around like a disembodied feral cat which refuses that morsel of reality that we set out in a fancy dish labeled, hopefully, normalcy. So I hold his hand and I listen to him breathe, staccato, the way a storm hints arrival, pensive like a burglar walking past lasers. I hold his hand, the way I hold onto my drumsticks, keeping time in a universe far away, where there is no Facebook, there are no fancy metaphors. There's only that strange piece a river must feel when it finally breaks its shores. I stare like 100 miles of railway going farther than my eyes can see. I stare like a cloudburst waiting for the ground to meet it. I hold on like a Max Roach brushstroke to paint the wall that separates us now with the great mystery words won't whisper. Where time evades, where every breath is a gift, a windfall, a legacy of this just might be his last night, his last breath. So knowing this, I'm just going to sit here and watch the strange loping cat. I love you.